In today's do-it-yourself repair video, I'm going to show you how to repair a Sears Craftsman or Liftmaster garage door opener that's non-responsive to opening or closing the garage door using the wall switch like you see here or any of the remote transmitters. I'm also going to show you the most likely cause for a garage door opener that activates, but the door does not move up and down. In addition to that, I'm going to show you the most likely cause for a garage door opener motor that only hums when it's triggered without any movement of the door. As usual, links to parts will be placed in the video description area to make it easier for you, and at the same time you'll be supporting my channel. Okay, let's get started. Now the first thing you want to do if the garage door does not function at all and there's no light, you want to disconnect the plug from the garage door opener, plug something else into that receptacle, make sure it does have power. If it does, then we're going to go on to the next step. If it doesn't, you're going to want to go to your circuit breaker panel and find out if the breaker has tripped. If it has, you're going to reset the breaker. Then you can check the opener again to see if it operates. If it does not operate and you notice that there's a light here that's rapidly flashing, you may also have a light that's not even on at all. And as for the sensors located at the bottom of the garage door on each side, you may see the LED lights illuminated or you may not, but most of the time you will see those lights illuminated if the garage door is in a non-responsive state. Now if the unit has power but there's no light on the transmitter, but it does work from the remote controls, that's going to indicate either this is a faulty unit or the wiring between this unit and the garage door opener is damaged. So the first thing you're going to want to do is check out the wiring between this unit and the door. If it's okay and this still does not work, you're going to want to swap this out. If this wall unit right here does not work and the remote transmitters, and like I said earlier, you may see the light flashing rapidly and you can't get the light in the garage to go on and off, or it maybe clicks and cycles really quickly, the next step is to go to the garage door opener unit. Now to fix the non-responsive issue with your garage door opener, you're going to have to remove all the screws holding the cover on. There's two there, two on the opposite side. Underneath this light cover, if I pull down on it by pushing that in, this pin, alright, there's going to be a screw right here on top, one on the opposite side, and you're going to remove those all the way around so we can lower the cover. Let me do that and then I'll show you the next step. You see the cover's been removed for the light on this side as well as the opposite side. The panel of interest for the non-responsive problem is right behind here. So let me take off this cover and the end cover over here so you can look inside, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, 2/3 of the cover has been removed. Here is the pad that was up against the motor, and over there is the light socket for the opposite side of the unit. One blade is smaller than the other. You won't get them confused. Use a needle nose and just pull them off so you can take the panel completely off. Now the first thing you want to do before spending money on fixing an older unit is you want to take a look at the windings on the unit. You can see the copper is nice and shiny. It doesn't look black or burned. If yours looks burned, do not put any money into fixing the unit. You're better off replacing the unit. Now over here we have a little optical sensor, and what that does, it detects the position of the motor as it rotates. And you can see there's little windows cut in that plastic, and the detection takes place between the sensor and it goes through the windows, and that's how it knows the position of the motor. This is a chain drive unit. What I'm showing you does not apply for a screw drive or any other type of a unit. Let me show you something on the back side of the unit now. If you're having a problem where the garage door activates but you hear the motor running but nothing happens, more than likely this gear right here has all the teeth chewed off. This is a replaceable part. There's screws at the top, 1, 2, and one in the back, 3. You're going to have to slide out the sprocket off the chain, remove the chain, and it goes all the way down through here. And there's a little roll pin that holds the gear in position. It's very easy to change, and it even includes the other one in the back you can see right there. These parts frequently fail because the garage door does not have the torsion springs properly adjusted, putting excessive pressure on these teeth. So when you adjust your garage door, you want to make sure that when you remove it from the trolley, which is this part right over here, you're going to release this, and then you're going to lower the door to the halfway position. The door should stay in that position or maybe very slightly start to lower. If it's hard to hold up or it falls down very quickly, that's an indication that your torsion springs do not have enough tension on them, and you're going to have to correct the problem in order to prevent those plastic gears from being destroyed in the future. If the motor's windings look good as well as these gears, then it's definitely worth fixing the unit and not spending a few hundred to replace it. So now the next step is going to be, for a non-responsive unit, is to take off this panel right here. But before I do that, there is one other thing that may happen. If the unit is responsive, and I mean that when you push the wall switch or the remote, you hear a hum, but nothing happens, then right over here you're going to see these two gray canisters. What they are capacitors. Now, if one of these capacitors is faulty, the unit is not going to have the starting torque to get that motor spinning. And you're going to have to find out which one of these is faulty. It's very simple. You're going to disconnect the blade connectors. But before you do that, you're going to have to discharge the capacitors. Now, I have another video for air conditioning. I'm going to post a link in the video description area explaining exactly how to test these capacitors. If you find out one is faulty or both, you're going to swap them out, and the problem with the motor just humming and not getting the door to move should be resolved. Okay, let me take this panel off to show you the next step for a non-responsive garage door opener. Okay, here's a better view of the panel now, the back side of it. Right over here is your control board, and I'm going to give you a close-up view of both sides in just a minute. Over there is your power supply board. Takes the high voltage 120 volts AC and reduces it down to around 22 to 24 volts. So it drives the circuit over here, and you can also see there's a bunch of relays. Now this board very rarely goes, the one on the right. The problem is the one on the left. So what you would have to do to correct the non-responsive issue is swap out this entire panel in my hand, which is called the logic board. It's very easy to replace. There's a connector at the top that just pulls right out. I'll show you in a minute. This one here pulls right off, and you can only install it one way. There's no chance of installing it backwards. There is one purple wire coming off to the bottom right where the arrow is, and that wire connects to the capacitor on the left. You're going to take a needle nose, pull straight down to remove that. Do not touch the terminals of the capacitor with your bare hands if you did not discharge the capacitor. So just use the needle nose to pull it out. When the new one's installed, slide it on with the needle nose. Make sure no wires are in the way of any of the gears under there. Make sure it's clear. And you're also going to make sure the antenna wire goes back through the hole right here. And all the wires for your sensors are put back into their proper position. Once that's done, you're going to have to reprogram the unit using the Learn button. Now over here you have two dials. That's going to be your force to open and close the door. When you purchase the new panel, it's going to be in a middle position, probably for just a steel door. But if you have a wooden door, it's going to require more force to lift it up. So you want to go clockwise slightly on these screws. I would just put it at the 3/4 position over here to the left. It'll probably be down at the bottom. So just rotate clockwise a little bit. Make sure the garage door opener functions properly. And you're also going to have to adjust the limit screws up and down. Let me show you those right here. Now over here, when the cover's on, you have two holes to access the up and down limit for the trolley, which is right over there. You do not want that trolley going too far up. You see it ends about an inch before that bolt. You want to make sure it stops there. And when it goes all the way down by the wall, you want to make sure the garage door is in the full down position without excessive pressure by having the trolley going too close to the wall. So to do that, you're going to make these to the lowest position, turn them to the minimum position, so you can program the new board that you just installed, and you're only going to adjust them about a half of a turn at a time to see how the trolley moves. So right now, if I push the down button, it might only move 8 inches. I'm going to go to the one that says down, look at the direction of the arrow to increase, turn it in that direction a half of a turn, and you'll see exactly how it moves closer towards the wall. If you're really far from the wall, you could probably go a full turn. turn in a half, but as you get closer to the wall and closer to this bolt on the way up, you're going to want to do it less and less to fine tune it. Okay, this is the two boards, the power supply and the logic board. So over here you can see there's 4 pins, then there's one missing, then there's 2. So when you unplug this, it's very easy to make sure it goes back properly. Look in the other connector, line it up, and plug it back in. The same applies for this one right over here. This transformer takes the 120 volts AC, converts it to 22 volts AC, and then it's rectified using these diodes over here to DC. The most common cause of a logic board failure is an integrated circuit. So right here is one of them. Then you have this larger one, which is a programmable one, and on the back is a much smaller IC. Over here you can see an LM7805, a TO220 package. It's a voltage regulator with a 5-volt output. That takes the 24 volts DC from the transformer, and it keeps it at a stable 5 volts for this board. You could also see the pins. One missing, make sure the harness goes back correctly, and the same over here, there's one pin missing. And that is it. After that board is in, everything should work fine. The boards run between $60 and $85, which is a lot cheaper than spending $300 to $400 on a new unit along with the installation. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to rate it a thumbs up, subscribe, and post links to this video on other websites and blogs.